There was a very great rabbi called Rabbi Saadia Gaon. All of there was in Judaism, there was, after the temple was destroyed, so there were the Tanaim. Those are the people which are disparagingly called the Pharisees, even though they were tremendously holy, they had the power to raise the dead. But nevertheless, that's what's called the Perushim or the Tanaim. And then after that, there were the Acharonim. I'm sorry, then there were Amoraim. This is like a couple hundred years after the temple was destroyed. And then there came the Goanim. The Goanim. Goanim, they were mostly in Iraq. I guess Aram Naharaim, whatever it was called then, in Iraq. And they were tremendously holy, genius Jews. And the famous one is Rabbi Saadia Goan. There was also Rabbi Amram Goan, Rabbi Hai Goan. And when the story is told, the Rabbi Saadia Gaon, he had, who knows, thousands of pupils. And so one day his pupils, they were in the mountains. I guess there's mountains in Iraq. I'm not that familiar with the geography of Iraq. But anyway, they were in the mountains over there. And there was snow. I guess it was in the winter. Anyway, and they heard some noise. They were, I guess, going to meditate, contemplate, whatever. Maybe they were just strolling for their health. Anyway, they heard a noise and they looked over, like, maybe if they went behind trees, they looked and they saw there was Rabbi Saadia Gaon, the holy Rabbi Saadia Gaon, and he was rolling around in the snow. Now, we don't do this today, but it used to be that great holy people would do self-afflictions. They would fast for long periods of time, mortification of the body. Nowadays, we don't do it, especially Hasidut said it's not beneficial anymore. It's not a positive, it's not a good thing to do. It's counterproductive. But nevertheless, that's what they used to do. They were tremendously holy people, and their mortification of their body, it didn't stop their learning Torah, and it just improved their personalities and whatever. Anyway, that's what they did. So they saw him rolling around. Usually a person that would roll around in the snow or do these things is because he did some sort of a sin. He was lazy. He said a word to somebody that was improper. They were tremendously, how do you say, demanding of themselves. In addition to the fact that they were always happy, a person has to be always happy. That could also be because he wasn't happy, so he would roll in the snow. So anyway, they went to this Rabbi Saadia Gaon the next day, and they said, Rabbi, we want to confess to you that we saw you rolling around in the snow. It's called Gilgul B'Shelig. They were rolling around in the snow, and people rolling around in the snow, usually because they did some sin. Why were you rolling around in the snow? They said, oh, because I did a sin. He said, sin? What could it possibly be? So he said, I'll tell you. One of the other things that the rabbis used to do was they would declare on themselves exile. They would feel they were getting too much attention and too much, praise from people, and they were, they was just taking it for granted how great they were, and so they would take on themselves exile. They would put on regular, simple clothes of a normal, regular person, a regular Jew, instead of the gowns or whatever they had, and a regular hat, maybe even garments of a wanderer or something, so that nobody would know who they were, and they would go to a place where people wouldn't recognize them, and they would go there for a week, for 2 weeks, whatever, and get used to be a normal person like everybody else. People would yell at them and say, "Hey, move away, move away again, make away from it. What did you step on my toe for? Oh, I'm sorry. Right? Help me pick this thing up." And they would act like a normal person, which when they were big rabbis, no one would say, move out of my way, help me pick this thing up. They got the honor that they deserved, but they didn't want that. They wanted to remind themselves they're just creations of God. Anyway, so he said, that's what I did. And Rabbi Saadia Gaon, he said, I decided I'm going to go into exile. I told one of my pupils not to look for me, not to search for me. I'm going to be back in a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months. and I put on regular, normal garments or garments of a just a poor person traveling on the streets, and I went to the the faraway town, and sure enough, nobody recognized me and everything. I went to an inn. I spent the night in an inn, and the person in the inn, he was a Jew, and he saw that I was Jewish, so he brought me kosher food, and he let me inspect the kitchen and inspected his knife that he slaughtered the tip. It was very nice to me. And in the morning, I prayed in the room, and I left. I went on my way. About an hour after I left, my pupils came to the hotel. I told them not to look for me, but they couldn't bear to be without me, and they started making a search. They went into this hotel, and they asked the owner, the inn, whatever, did you see here Rabbi Saadia Goan? I said, the great Rabbi Saadia Goan, what would he be doing in a place like this? Why in the world would you, the great Saadia Goan here? Did I hear you right? You said Saadia Goan. Maybe you said, something, Shmerel Braun or something. No, Saadia Goan. Was he here? Said, no, he wouldn't be in my place. It should only be that he should come and visit me. He said, well, maybe you don't know how he looks. I said, I don't know how he looks. He says, well, he's tall like this, and he has hair like this, and he looks like this, and he talks like this, and he has a little, maybe a scar, whatever. And they gave him signs that he says, I said, what? Yes, he was here. He was just here. Oh, you said, Rabbi Son, you're going, he was here. He was here an hour ago. Where did he go? He went in that direction. Immediately, the owner of the inn ran outside, jumped on his horse. Usually Jews didn't ride on a horse. That's the way it was. They would have a wagon. Anyway, he jumped on the horse and he drove with all, after like about a half an hour, 15 minutes, he caught up to me, jumped off of his horse, and he got down on his hands and his knees and he started kissing my feet and said, Rabbi, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. So I said, what is this? I said to him, what do you, I'm the innkeeper. Remember in the inn? He says, yeah, you treated me very nicely. Thank you very much. What happened? Did you make a mistake? You took too much money? No. Everything was right. So what do you, so he said, I treated you nice. Yes, it's true. But if I would have known who you really are, I would have treated you totally differently. I said, oh, that's what I wanted to hear. And that's what I came back. I realized every day I serve God, I think more and more about God, deeper ideas. This morning I woke up and I thought, wow, if I would have known yesterday what God is, what I know today, I would have served him yesterday totally different. That's why I'm rolling in the snow to refine myself for the sin, so to speak, that I did yesterday, that I didn't treat God properly, because what I understood of God yesterday was much smaller than what I understood today. And that's the idea of doing tshuva on Rosh Hashanah and on Elul, to think more deeply about what God is and to increase our appreciation and our service of him. Not to feel bad and broken, maybe a little bit bad, not to roll in the snow, but to still, nevertheless, because that little bad that you feel, a little heartbreak, that's what encourages us to say, I'm going to do more. I'm not going to be normal anymore. I'm not going to. As we'll learn more, God willing, tomorrow. Tomorrow will be Friday. God willing, we will finish the Devar Malchut. Thank you very much for coming. God bless you. Have a good day with Mashiach now.
Thank you.
My pleasure.